everyone. My name is Daniela Zuleta, and welcome to the Lifestyle Miami podcast. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Samantha Lockwood. She's known as an actress, a yoga advocate, and she also has a business. And we're gonna talk a little bit about it today. But she's known for a lot of things. You've probably seen her on Hawaii Five-0 or the CSI and many other films. So I want to welcome you to the podcast, Samantha. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you once again. We currently just met at the Influencer Insider Award in December, and we got to know each other a little bit there, but I'm excited to have you on the podcast, have you tell your story.
Yeah, we get to chat and actually get to know each other a little bit better. Yeah. It was very brief, and I was very impressed with what you're doing with your podcast. I think you were awarded, weren't you?
Yes, I got an award. It was my second time, so it was really cool to come back a second year and be able to be awarded.
Congratulations. Yeah, fantastic.
When and where were you born?
Well, I was born in Beverly Hills, but I grew up in Malibu, and I went to La Quinta for like a little bit of middle school and high school. So I'm a Californian.
What was it growing up in high school? Was it challenging? Was it easy? Did you like it?
High school was, I think I'm like everybody where there was some highs, some lows. I had to transfer from where I was born and my friends in Malibu and then go to a whole new place and make friends all over again, which I know a lot of people have to go through that in life. My parents divorced. So when my stepfather wanted to move to the desert, my mom followed, and then they ended up building a company out in Palm Springs area at, La Quinta. So when that happened, of course, I missed my mom, and that was very challenging for me because I wanted to be in a city where both of my parents were living. My dad stayed in Malibu with his wife, and my mom left. So I was sort of stuck in a hard place where I had to figure out who I was going to live with. And that part of my growing up was difficult because you love everybody, you love your parents. So, well, in my case, I loved both of my parents very much. They were both amazing people, still both amazing people. My dad is still around, but unfortunately my mom has passed. So
I'm sorry to
hear. Yeah, it was very sad, very tragic, but life goes on and we accept reality as it is. So I had a hard time transitioning to a new place. But eventually I made very good friends in high school. I went to a very small private school. I went to a Christian academy first for 2 years, and then I spent 6 months in a public school, which it just didn't add up. The curriculum in public school didn't match the learning that I'd had at the Christian school. So I ended up at another private school, and I stayed there for at least 3.5 years, the last 3.5 years of high school. And that's where I made my best friends. I had a really good time at Palm Valley. I have still really good friends that I've had my whole life from that time.
That's very cool. Did you have any childhood passions growing up?
I had a lot of passions, and they've stayed with me my whole life. So my passions are the same. I love anything that has to do with the ocean, with water. I took a great liking to keeping fish. So I was a tropical fish hobbyist. I had 11 fish tanks when I was in high school, and my mom hated that I would take water up and down the stairs and get it all over her rug. So she put like a hose in my room so that I would not do water changes by carrying buckets up and down the stairs. I loved volleyball. I loved track, and I got really into yoga one summer when my mom sent me to learn yoga from a very famous yoga teacher named Bikram Chowdhury. He is an amazing teacher. I learned yoga from him and from his wife, Rajashri, and our other senior teacher, Emmy, was a big part of my life when it came to yoga. So yeah, yoga, volleyball, track, fish, and I'd say art. I really love painting, and I've had art shows. So those are my passions.
That's very interesting. As a child, what did you think that you wanted to become like as an adult?
It's funny because I think when you're young, you're not really thinking about who I want to become because you already are. Children, I think they already are, in essence, everything that they need to be actually great citizens, except for maybe learning some more extra discipline in life. But I would say I was already kind of good at a lot of different things. I've been good at math. I've been good at English. I've been good at writing. I've been good at moving things around and pushing things forward. I started 2 yoga schools, and I was very successful with bringing people together and making the community stronger. And so I had a lot of different skills, and I've always enjoyed the art because I think creativity and being part of something that's creative, especially with a group of people, is very appealing to me. It's very attractive to me to build things and to create things together. Like that is something that I enjoy. I love bouncing things off of other people, working with other people. So even when my mom and I both had actually yoga schools, and we'd call each other 4 or 5 times a week, we'd discuss, our rate and how to get more students in the door. And it was almost like we were working together, even though we had separate businesses, but we were like working together to create this thing together at the same time. So I thrive on that. And I also like movies for that same reason. I love making movies. I love being an actor because I love being able to be part of something, bounce ideas off of people, try things a new way, add my own creativity, bring my own essence to something, to a character, to a project. And I like creativity. That's what I would say. Creativity and group efforts, collaborations.
What was your first job starting out of high school?
My very first work was actually working for my mom's company. She owned a production company that made infomercials, commercials, and such. And I did a couple of hosting jobs, just hosting infomercials for her or being on camera and giving testimonials about products that she was advertising.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 16, okay. 17. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. And then, so you were just getting into it super young. So you first started with the infomercials, and then later on you got into the acting.
Doing more TV stuff and movies and such. To be honest with you, like this business, show business is in my blood. I mean, I'm the product of a film because my parents met on a movie called Top of the Hill. My mom played the love interest of Sonny Bono. Sonny Bono was the star, and my dad was like the other kind of like bad guy. And my parents met on the movie. So I've been born into like a Hollywood family. My parents were both actors. My mom became a producer, and my dad had a very long career as an actor. So a lot of people know who he is, especially from his generation. He was like the Brad Pitt of the 60s. My dad is a very famous actor named Gary Lockwood, who starred in 2001 Space Odyssey. He did like 2 movies with Elvis Presley. He did Star Trek. I mean, the list goes on.
That's very impressive. And to have that type of support, what was that like? Was your parents very supportive throughout the years with your dreams, especially?
My parents didn't really give a shit what I did, to be honest with you. My dad didn't really care what I wanted to do. I think he would have supported me in anything. I mean, if I said, hey, I just want to be a woodworker, or I want to paint for the rest of my life, or I want to teach people how to jet ski, my dad would say, okay, great. He never got involved with telling me what to do and how to live my life. And my mom was pretty open-minded as well. Sometimes she was a little bit hard on me because that's moms. And, she wanted me to kind of like be, create everything on my own, but I think my mom was very supportive of me as well, as far as like, she would help me. Like, for instance, when I said I wanted to be an actor, and she said, okay, well, if you want to do that, I'll pay for your acting classes and I will help you get an apartment. I'll pay for your like studio apartment, and the rest is up to you. Like, you make the money for the rest of your life. So clothes and food and nights out and anything else you want to do, you got to get a little job. And that's actually what led me to creating this jewelry line. So she said, I think you should do a cash job. And of course, I wanted to do something more fun and something that required more brain power. I wanted to like read scripts or do production, but sometimes you don't make a whole lot of money doing that right off the bat when you're 20 years old, So I ended up working at this burger joint, and every day I'd go in and I'd make some tips, and my mom was like, I'm so happy you got this job. I'm so proud of you. This is great. Like you're working as a waitress at a burger joint. And she was just happy because it was work ethic. But at the same time, I absolutely hated the job. It was just so lame. Like every day I went to work and my boss would say, oh, your hair's wet, or, oh, you didn't wear shoes, or, those are open-toed shoes, or, I just felt like I wasn't doing anything right, And so finally I called my mom. I said, listen, I'm not making great money. The tips are shite. It's burgers. So I'm making like $3 and $4 a tip. And I just want to stop this job. I really want to do something else. And she said, well, before you totally quit, call your grandmother and get her advice on how you can make better tips. I said, well, first off, I need to be selling more expensive food. And then I need to be in a place where we have more customers, because this place had just opened. Anyhow, so my mom said, well, just call her and get her advice. And I called my grandmother. She said, Samantha, if you want to make better tips, tips. All you got to do is wear a flower in your hair. And I was like, okay, grandma, sounds like great advice. And I thought it was superstitious Louisiana bullshit.
Yeah.
But next day I go downstairs, going into work, and I saw this beautiful hibiscus bush. It was just outside of the door, and I picked a hibiscus. I put it behind my ear. I walked in, and my boss says, Samantha, well, that's a really pretty flower. And I said, interesting. I said, what side of the bed did you get up on? Because you're so nice to me today. And my catty Beverly Hills, like, bitchy coworkers are like, oh my God, is it real? Is it a real flower? Like, that's so pretty. And then all the guys in the back who were like flipping burgers. We had a couple of guys from, Mexican guys. They were like, oh, mija, your flower, she's so pretty. You look so nice, And I'm like, oh my God, everybody loves this flower today. And so my customers were commenting on it, and they were like, oh my God, is it real? Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's nice, Samantha. And I started counting my tips. I was doubling my tips. And I
Wow.
thought, what the hell? This is so strange.
Grandma was right.
Grandma was right. But my flower was dead after like 20 minutes. It's stuck in my hair, and it was kind of like falling. So I wanted to figure out a way to keep a flower alive and looking fresh throughout my shift. So that's why I created these vase earrings. And I went through a lot of different, shapes and concepts of how to keep a flower fresh and wear an earring. And I ended up with this design the end. Yeah. So it's very lightweight.
When you created this flower business at the same time that you're working for your joint?
I was like 22, I think by that time, 22. Yeah. And so this is the concept, basically.
An entrepreneur at a very young age.
Yeah. Well, I think the women in my family have all been kind of hustler types. They go out there, they make things happen, and they're all hardworking women, and they're all pretty creative. And my dad was creative too. He started a company with my mom many years ago called Z-Back, which owned their very first product called How to Play the Piano Overnight. And he helped put that together. And so this is the idea. So you get a glass of water, and then you dip it in and you shake it, and all the bubbles come out, and you see like that.
Oh, wow.
There's like a little, hollow. This is hollow inside. So it's cast into pieces and then soldered together. So it's very hollow, and it holds about 4 or 5 drops of water in there, maybe 6. And then you can take a flower. I really love wearing orchids in these just because orchids last really well, and I think they look so pretty. And I lived in Hawaii for a long time. So in Hawaii, we have a lot of these flowers, and
I've never seen anything like that before at all.
You just have to push the stem all the way down in there, and then it sits in there like that.
That is so cool.
It's really fun. And with the water in there, they'll last for like 2 days, even 3. If you take it off and you hang it up at night, you can wear it again and again.
Wow.
I'll put it on.
So then you were working at this burger joint, then you started this business called Fleuring?
Yeah, so the French word, so originally I was going to call them flower earrings, right? Because that's what they are. But I thought flower earrings was so kind of cheesy, it's like so on point. So I like the French word for flower, which is fleur, and I combined that with earrings, and I came up with Fleurings.
I love that. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's a very unique concept. And then so you were working part-time job at this burger place, or was it a full-time? And
it was just part-time, part-time.
And then you were also doing
like I think it was about 4 days a week, but it wasn't like super, super long hours. It was usually like, it was every day, but it was like for about 5 hours a day or 4 hours a day. So it was kind of a part-time,
When did you decide to leave and then continue?
I left when I got a job at a flower shop. I actually got a job right across the street at a flower store, and I loved that job so much more. And then I just started teaching more. I was doing a lot of yoga, practicing, and started teaching in different studios around Los Angeles. And then I ended up leaving Los Angeles entirely for about 3 years, and I traveled around the world teaching full time. So I worked at various studios around the world, and everywhere I went, I would sell my jewelry. So, I went to Milan and I sold my jewelry there, and I had my jewelry in some Milan Fashion Week, thing. It was like a spring, summer sort of like accessory in one of their magazines. And then when I went to Japan, I would sell it in Japan. I would teach in Japan. My background as a teacher now is very respectable because I've taught all over the world, and I've taught in many different environments, many different types of people. And I have a lot of experience at this point, having taught for this many years. So
experience with your first class.
Oh my my God. When I first started, I was awful. I was just so uncomfortable standing up in front of people and yelling at them, telling them what to do. Now I know how to use my voice, and I know how to project my voice, and I know how to speak to people, and I know how to deal with various different types of students. You know, you have a lot of people who come in there who just think they know everything. And for them, yoga is just staying with the group, you know, trying to just do a practice and being mindful and present with everybody else. It's hard for people. And then there's other people who struggle physically, who have a lot of issues with whatever it is. I mean, the issues could be your foot, your feet, your back, your neck, your shoulder, your hand, your arm. So just learning how to deal with people with various injuries, how to speak to new students, how to speak to existing students, how to just ignore certain things and just continue and drive the class forward, and knowing the difference between somebody who's just seeking attention versus somebody who actually needs attention. I think these are all things that you kind of nuances that you gain as you teach more and more and more, you know. And so having run my own schools, I can say that gave me a lot of experience as a teacher as well. And it gave me a lot of experience as a business owner.
Yeah.
I got both now under my belt, and I know how I would do things differently in the future, or, you know, how I would continue to do things the way I've always done.
Of course. And then what was it like? Because you mentioned earlier that you were learning from Bikram. What was that experience like?
At that time, I was living with my mom and my stepfather, and we were living in La Quinta. My mom got a piece of mail. I guess it was like a letter in the mail saying that he had started his own teacher training in Los Angeles, and she wanted to send me to learn from him because she said, I want you to realize that life is not only about making money and your career, it's also about your well-being and your health. And so she wanted me to learn yoga for that reason, which I am very grateful, because yoga is a great tool for life.
Yeah.
And it's something that has been there for me every time I've gone through a breakup, and now losing my mom. You know, I practiced a lot since she died, and you know, it just anything that is difficult in life, I think yoga helps you get through, not just physically but mentally, emotionally, just kind of like brings you back to status and back to a balanced state. She wanted me to learn yoga with Bikram one summer, so I went to Los Angeles, to Beverly Hills, where he had his main studio, and that's where I had my teacher training in 1999, maybe around that time. Yeah,
That's
long
very
time ago.
That's super cool. I just always like to understand your experience. And then also, you get into acting at what age? Because I know you've done a couple things as well. So
Yeah.
I would like to understand a little bit about that. So did you get into like an agency and then you were booked right away? Or did you take a couple actors?
No, it's been a struggle, to be honest with you, to find a really actually great agent. And I don't know, like most of the really decent jobs that I've somehow acquired, I got kind of on my own. A couple were through managers, a couple were through some people that managed me and submitted me for them, and several jobs I've just gotten on my own. But yeah, the acting thing is just, it's an interesting journey, because there's a lot of highs and lows in that business. You know, there's a lot of like feeling of promise of like something good is about to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and then you get cut out of the movie, or you were in the movie and then like,
And a lot
then
of
they decided last minute they were going to like push the movie production 6 months or another year or this or that. So it's a very tough business, but at the same time, I still love it. I still love acting. I always have loved acting. I studied with a man named Aaron Spicer. I studied with a woman named Carolyn Berry, Ivana Chubbuck. I mean, I was in Los Angeles studying with various coaches over the years. My favorite one was actually Joseph Perlman, who coached Zooey Deschanel, and he coaches Gwyneth Paltrow. So he was one of my favorite coaches. I never had any issues with him. You know, there was no like bravado or big ego. He was always like really chill and such a nice teacher. So I started training for movies, for TV, because it's a different skill set than theater, and it is a different skill set than commercials. You know, you have to learn how to project your voice for theater, and then for TV and film, you have to learn how to subdue all your reactions, all your responses have to be smaller. So anyhow, I really enjoyed working with him, and I started when I was about 16, 17, doing film and TV acting learning from coaches in LA. And I continued all the way up until my mid-20s before I left and I went traveling and teaching around for about 3 years.
And what was your favorite project?
I guess still one of my favorites is a project that my mom and I did together. It was called Shoot the Hero. And I just love that story because it's just, I don't have her anymore in my life. And so it's something that we did together. It's a movie actually starring Danny Trejo, Jason Mewes, me, Mike Hatton was one of the actors. And there was a lot of fun making that. We had some fun people on set.
That's very unique. And then, so you were living in California. When did you make the move to Miami?
I bought a place in Miami 2 years ago, but I still stay in Hawaii and I still stay in LA. Like I go back and forth at this present time.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to be in the same industry as you?
Look at acting like a lifelong commitment. This is something that my dad told me, and I agree completely that if you decide to do something with yourself, with your life, just really make it part of yourself. Like I consider myself an actor, and I will always consider myself an actor as long as I live. So I think when you embrace and embody like that which you are, and you see yourself as that, then I think it's because I think with this business, it's sort of like, oh, if you haven't had like a huge hit by the time, people are so quick to judge and throw you out and say, you know, the pressure from the outside world is constantly like this.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn how to just say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I am and this is what I'm doing for as long as I live, you create a commitment and to the craft, which has nothing to do with the outside world, which has nothing to do with everybody else's opinions of, oh, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too ugly, you're too dark, you're too light, you're too this. And you change your perspective to being one of, I am who I am and I'm bringing my creative vision to the world and I'm going to be an actor no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's it. And because I think it's a definition of self. So for me, that's how I approach being an actor. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't care what the outside world wants to say about it. It's just me and my desire and my choice to continue to be creative in this capacity. It's just like somebody who's a woodworker. You can't tell them to stop woodworking at age anything. Or if you haven't made a bed by the time, you know, there's so much pressure to like make these sort of steps to say like, well, if this doesn't happen, it's like you can do 1,000 other jobs and still be an actor.
Yeah.
You could be a CEO and be an actor. You could be a lawyer and be an actor. You could do 1,000. It doesn't mean you don't have to stop being prosperous in other capacities. I could be a producer and be an actor. I could be a yoga teacher and be an actor. I could own a jewelry line and be an actor.
I think the difference now is because of social media is that everything is about instant gratification. So then basically everybody wants to, you know, be something instantly and be approved by all of their friends and all of that stuff. But
I mean, everything is forgotten. Everything that ever gets created is forgotten. So no matter if you do achieve instant fame, you will also be forgotten. Yeah. So learning how to have a lifetime commitment to your craft, to your work, where you're consistently trying to do things. I think that approach is a healthier approach and is a better approach than just saying, I want instant gratification. I want to be famous for this one thing. And then, you know,
and then I wanted to ask you, looking back at younger Samantha, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Just continue to believe in yourself, girl. Don't give up. Just believe in yourself. That's what I would say to myself.
And where can people find more about you, about Fleuring as well? Where can they find more?
Well, I have this online, which is fleurings.com. So it's FLEURINGS.com. And April 5th, if anybody is attending the Miami Film Festival, you guys should come and see the film that I just recently did in Miami called A Line of Fire. That is an action film starring David R. White, Cuba Gooding Jr., Scott Baio, Jason Patrick, and I'm also in the film. So I'm excited for that to happen. That's April 5th at 8:30 p.m. So you guys should come and check that out.
That's awesome. I think I'm gonna come by. So
I hope you do. That would be awesome.
I'll message you. And
yes, I'll send you a link to get your ticket.
Thank you. No, I'm so excited to take a look at it once we're done with this podcast. But thank you so much for being on this podcast, Samantha. You have been truly amazing. Your story has been so inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
It's just a breath of fresh air just to hear your feedback on what it really is like in the industry.
My pleasure. I will say, I look forward to a day where I can work with more females in this business as well. I really enjoy working with other strong, sort of cool, fun females.
Of course. Well,
yeah.
Thank you once again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.